Let me say I'm very, very pleased to have the invitation to speak to you today, and it's very good to see so many of you here in Brussels taking a very close interest in what's going on in the European Parliament. And I know one of the themes of today has been engagement and how you can get more out of Europe and get a better idea of what's going on here and how you can put your case across to us. And you're certainly doing that. As I said earlier today, Universities UK is, in my experience, one of the better organisations at doing this, and I know you've always had close links with Europe. But there's nothing like actually being here and talking to the people who are actually producing the legislation, or those who work in the Commission who are dealing with whatever your issues are. And I really can't stress that too much, that to be successful in engaging and lobbying is really all about building up relationships. It's getting to know the people who you need to talk to, and talking to them, getting on their wavelength and getting them to trust you. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not a question of just one or two visits. It's really much more than that, and really putting, I'm afraid, quite a bit of time and effort into it. And I think it's something that we don't do very much in the UK. I don't think lobbying, particularly of anybody, and certainly not parliamentary lobbying, is much of the UK culture. So we're a little bit uncomfortable with it, and it doesn't come naturally. And I know when I first arrived here, and I had all these people wanting to lobby me and talk to me, and well, I kind of, what am I supposed to do with this? And it took me quite a long time to understand how it works and how I should deal with it on the receiving end of it all. And the conclusion I came to was that lobbying done in an intelligent and reasonable fashion is actually very useful for us as MEPs, because I've learned over the years a lot from issues I've been working on by talking to people who are actually professionals in that field. And I think most MEPs would actually agree with me that if you do it in that kind of way, in information giving and communication, you will find that the people you talk to will appreciate that, and it will benefit both sides. There's also who do you talk to, which is a very serious question in this place, because I have never ever come across anything as complicated as the European institutions. When you understand that this whole enterprise was set up to prevent any one part of the three institutions or any particular faction within that getting power, you understand why it's so complicated. Unlike any other system of governance anywhere else, it's not designed to give people power, it's designed to take power away from them. And once you get that, it all makes a lot more sense, actually. So what your task is to somehow, in the midst of the labyrinth, find the people that you need to talk to on your particular thing that you're interested at the time. Some of it's very straightforward. If there's a report going through Parliament, you need to find out who the rapporteur is, because the whole idea of rapporteurs is again not something that we're used to. But the rapporteur is the person who takes the legislation through the Parliament. Very important, very influential position. The nearest analogy that I've ever been able to come up with, they're a bit like the minister. It is their responsibility on their report, and they make the decisions, and so they are absolutely crucial person. There will also on committees be people from the other political groups who don't have the report, who will shadow it, and shadow rapporteurs are from all the political groups are worth talking to. And in a way, the Parliament structure is the easiest one to understand. But you do need to engage with the Commission, find out who in the Commission is discussing your particular thing, and that can be hard. I mean, the Commission don't particularly like to be always as open as they might be, but they're important. They're the people who are actually the experts in it. They're important. I mean, it's like talking to the civil servants, and it does matter. So find out who they are and talk to them. So those are the sort of key people. And it's helpful, I think, to keep building those relationships, not necessarily with the rapporteur, but maybe with your own MEPs from your own, well, obviously UK MEPs in your instance, but MEPs from your own region and country. So those of you who aren't from London, track down the MEPs in your region and just kind of contact them. I mean, they won't welcome being overloaded, but they will like to know that you're around. So find them and just generally kind of get to know how Europe works. Come over here as when you can and when it's relevant to do so, and get to know your MEPs at home. I mean, that's how I would suggest going about it. And that way you will develop all these relationships, and it will become a bit less of a kind of quagmire than it might appear when you first start doing it. So, but as I've said before, you as Universities UK are getting there. You're actually quite good at it anyway, and you're also working in education, which, despite cuts and despite everything, I mean, people do support education. Education is regarded as a good thing, so you've got that on your side, which actually helps you quite a lot. That was what I wanted to say on that. I mean, the other thing is just to say to you all, we all know how difficult everything is at the moment. We've seen it over here with the crisis of the euro, and although we're not actually involved in it in the sense that we are not in the euro, it is obviously having an impact on the UK and will continue to do so until things start to improve. And I think it would be very bad at this time for us to adopt a kind of fortress Britain mentality and say, we're not in the euro, it's nothing to do with us. It absolutely is an awful lot to do with us. Europe's our export market, and of course so that matters, and that matters one stage further down the line, because austerity measures mean people have less money. If people have less money, they will buy less goods, and that will affect us, absolutely affect us. So we need to be aware of that. And although we hear a lot about, we're not going to take part in any further bailout, it's not quite as straightforward as that. We are, of course, in the International Monetary Fund, which we give huge amounts of money to every year, £19 billion or thereabouts. I mean, it's a vast amount of money, and that IMF money will be used to bail out the euro if it needs to be. So we are not, we may be an island physically, but we're not an island internationally. And I wish that some of our political leaders would understand that a bit better than they appear to. So that's really my message, actually, that we are not an island any longer. We are here and we are in Europe, and we all need to get on with it and engage with what goes on in the EU.